This video is sponsored by Manta Sleep. My sleep schedule lately has been a wreck because my life has been very interesting. If you've watched the last few videos, you already know what's going on. We don't need to talk about it. Now, luckily for me, Manta Sleep is sponsoring today's video. They reached out, they said, try a mask, let us know what you think. I chose the silk mask because it's gentle on my skin, which is a need for me. All the masks have adjustable straps. It's good for, small head, big head, it doesn't matter. We're all unique, we're all beautiful. It's also good for those people who sleep well and they don't want their mask to end up on the floor when they wake up in the morning. I'm not talking about myself, I'm just saying like some people have that problem. Not me though. This has made a tremendous difference in my sleep quality. It has also helped me with my middle of the day naps. Sometimes you just need to escape from the world. I'm just gonna lay down real quick. But you just put on the mask, it's a total blackout, it's comfortable, and it's like bliss. Check out the link in the description as well as the pinned comment. If you use code BlushBunny, you will get 10% off. Trust me, it is worth the purchase, guys. If you want a better quality sleep, get the mask. And now, back to the video.
Just to be clear, I don't hate the movie. I just really don't like it. I've never liked it. Now, should I have been watching this movie when I was 10 years old? No. In my defense, I was watching the TV version, so it was like, cutting out those parts that I should not have been seeing. Well, the story, I shouldn't have been knowing the storyline either, to be fair. That's besides the point. The point is, even as a kid, I never understood the hype. My mom loves the film. Every woman I meet loves the film. Guys don't talk about it because it's just not an appealing movie for them, I guess. It's a chick flick, but guys like chick flicks. This one, not so much. And every time I ask somebody why they like the film, it's, oh, she found her worth and she leveled up and she became this woman that was so admirable and blah, blah, blah. No, my question is, how do you guys come to that conclusion? Because she has better clothes at the end of the movie and she says, I'm going to go off and do something with my life instead of being a, how do I want to say it in this? Because I don't want them to block me. We're going to refer to it as how we always refer to it on this channel. She is a baker, okay? That's her job. She bakes, right? For a living. So just because she decided not to do that anymore, all of a sudden I'm supposed to be inspired or think that this is a good film or think that anything about this is appealing. It's just not. And I don't want this to be a rant, but it might turn into a rant. But I'm going to try to stay on point. I'm going to try to stay focused with what I want to say. Okay, let's start with the premise. Vivian, a young woman, she's down on her luck. She has a roommate, Kit, and they need money for rent. Kit is irresponsible. Vivian, she's more on the up and up. She has more of a adult mindset. You have to make money, you have to pay your bills, you have to make a living. She and Kit both are bakers. That's what they do. That's how they pay their rent. This night they're down. Kit spent the rent money and now Vivian is out on the prowl to make sure they have a roof over their head. She meets this guy, Edward. He is a capitalist. He buys up all these companies just to sell them and make a profit. Very cold, very emotionally unavailable, very emotionally unintelligent. Not the Prince Charming that this movie tries to paint the picture of him to be. Not the Prince Charming that everybody else has bought into the idea of him being. I mean, him having a nice car and a job. Okay, why is this so appealing? Well, what about this? I'm not gonna rant. When they meet, she gives her prices and she's like, if you want me, this is how much it costs. And he's like, okay. They go to a hotel. They have some type of connection, I guess. And he proposes to her that if she stays with him for the entire week, he'll give her $3,000. Now, she was already a cheap baker. I think she only wanted like $100 or something like that. It was very low. $3,000 for a week working around the clock 24/7 at your beck and call. That's not enough money. even in the night, that's not enough money. That's not enough. But this is the fairy tale. This is the Cinderella story. So let's keep going. She's in her maiden clothes, right? After they make this deal, the movie goes downhill from there. It already starts off with Edward's lawyer, I think it is. Someone asks where he was, and he's like, if I know Edward, he's on the corner talking to a beautiful woman. And it's just like, okay, so this is just what he does. Like, this is his norm. This is his life. And then they introduce the story of him being emotionally unavailable. He talks about his ex-wife and his ex-girlfriend. And it's just like, oh, you work too much. All this other crap. I know people say you shouldn't eat in your room or on your bed, but I'm hungry. All right. What was I saying? All right, there's a few things that contribute to this movie being trash. Okay, I'm not gonna say trash. There's a few things that contribute to this movie being not good. One, you have this wholesome baker trope for Vivian. Two, the emotional incompetence of Edward. Three, I feel like it's chips in my teeth. Hold on. Three, the power dynamics and how that's disguised as romance. Four, the makeover montage and what that says about the film. Those are the main points for me. And then I'll tell you why this movie works and why people love it, even though they don't want to fully admit it. And when I say this is the only reason why the movie works, the absolute only reason why it works, but we'll get there. So let's start with the job that Vivian has. I find it odd that a person in her shoes would not be jaded, not have an edge to her, not have any type of grit or emotional mental instability with the environment that she frequents. And this is no shade to anybody who does this, but in order to be in that line of work, there's something going on with you in order to be able to sustain that type of job. She's just nice and bubbly and sweet and kind. She's happy. And it's like, where's the trauma? Like, her worst experience is a customer being rude to her or maybe not giving her her full amount of money. There's nothing about her in this role that makes me believe her story. It's nothing that makes me believe she should be in this predicament. It's nothing that makes me believe that she's actually surviving on the streets like this. Now, her friend, Kit, she serves the purpose of being a baker. Okay, she has the attitude. She has this mentality of, hey, we need somebody out here, managing us. She has a whole different take on it. Vivian, you would think she actually works at a bakery. The way she's just so full of life. And it's like, no, huge disconnect for me. And it's almost like the producers made this decision to erase the stigma of the job that she's in. It also feels like it was done in order to make us believe the love story and not make the audience uncomfortable, but it actually did the opposite. Because now I really don't, what did she overcome? There's nothing that she overcame. There's no growth here. It's just, she's a nice person. She's doing this job. She decides not to do this job anymore. There's no leveling up. So instead of giving us a multi-dimensional character, they give us a fantasy. They give us a character who makes men a little less creepy for going into this bakery situation and paying for cookies. Then we have Edward in his emotional constipation. His whole personality is based on his job. He's a businessman. He does these mergers. He does these buyouts. And he has daddy issues. I guess that's supposed to be the part that we connect with him on. Only thing is, people who have emotional blockages usually have some type of appeal or characteristic that you can hang on to and say, you know what? He has this deep-rooted issue, but he also has this. He's also charming. He's a provider. He's also intelligent and shares his knowledge. We don't get none of that. Edward has nothing working in his favor. Now, is he a good looking man? Yes. Especially, Richard Gere in his prime was a look. Okay. But outside of that, there's nothing appealing about him. There's nothing that connects him to the audience. There's nothing about him that makes you root for him. There's nothing about him that makes you root for this relationship. He barely opens up about his daddy issues. He says it, I think, twice throughout the movie. He talks about it. He doesn't even smile. I think he might have smirked 3 times. I don't know. And his whole idea of romance is paying Vivian to be quiet while he talks on the phone, or paying her to sit at dinner while he instructs her on how to eat. And the problem with him not having an arc is that they show his emotional growth by him taking something that she said about his business practices and saying, you know, maybe you should start buying companies and investing in them yourself instead of selling them off, and blah 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 blah. And then that's when he realizes, oh yeah, she's good for my life. She's somebody who's an asset for me. His growth does not happen through self-reflection. It does not happen through accountability. It's just asshole of a guy buys this woman, and now I'm going to invest in my own businesses, so I want to keep her around. So romantic. And what gets me about this is that people really, for some reason, see him as charming in this film. Richard has a knack for charm. You know, I think about Officer and Gentleman, that's the first thing that popped into my head. But he has that naturally. The first night. Oh my God, the first night. That's a movie. The first night is a movie. Anyways, he has the ability to show this. Edward, we don't get that at all. I feel like if the audience and the women who love this film really paid attention to that, they wouldn't praise it so much, because he starts an asshole and ends an asshole. Why? What's the appeal in that? And let's talk about the power dynamics in this, because this is the thing that everything blows my mind. I keep saying this blows my mind. Everything about this blows my mind because I don't understand why people like it so much. Edward controls everything about Vivian, from, again, what she eats, what she wears, all under the guise of her fitting into his world. Not because he really wants to level her up. He just wants her not to look like a baker while she's around. And what does she do? She just adapts to it. She goes along with whatever he wants. 1, she's getting paid to do so. And 2, again, she's the princess, so they want to show her in a certain light. A couple of times during the film, she put her foot down and said, I'm not doing this and don't treat me this way. But the impact of it is so minuscule. It's like, okay, I won't yell at you again. Sit down. And then the film frames it as if he's just being so kind to her and generous and showing her a different life. But when you strip away all of the, background noise, the pretty woman walking down the street, like when you strip all of that away, this is just an employer and his employee. Vivian has 0 agency, 0 autonomy, if you really want to get into it, because just because you set the price don't mean you have the control. And then whenever she does do her little don't talk to me and don't do this and treat me this way, all he does is manipulates her in order for her to fall back in line. This is what I paid you to do, so do it. Again, where's the romance? Where's the romance? What about this am I supposed to be? Oh my God, this is so sweet. Or I want a relationship like Edward and Vivian. So let's talk about the infamous makeover. Big mistake. Huge. This movie has a couple of iconic lines that people quote all the time. The work it, own it, work it, and the big mistake, huge. Those are the 2 main ones. Like any other classic film, especially ones rooted in the 90s and before. The makeover montage or scene is supposed to magically erase a woman's ugliness, give her confidence, or be the first step in confidence, because the confidence never happens overnight, and attract the man or boy that she never thought possible. In this case, Vivian was not regarded as being ugly. She already had self-confidence, and she governed her life the way she saw fit. the guy that she wanted or ends up with already had interest in her. Interest. I use that very loosely because so nothing about this makeover is in the realm of the normal trope, right? The ugly duckling thing. She walks on Rodeo Drive in her thigh-high boots and her little skimpy outfit. She doesn't have the Party City wig on anymore. She's wearing the big permed red hair that we love. And she goes into a store. The lady's already looking at her like, please don't steal. Please don't take our stuff. You cannot afford anything in here. Please get out, right? That's typical. Is it right? No, but that's the norm. She gets her feelings hurt. She goes back to the hotel. Barney helps her to get some address from one of his friends. And then she returns to the lady and she's like, don't you work on a commission? Yeah, big mistake. Huge. With all her shopping bags and her little, Anne Klein dress on or whatever she had. What are we supposed to take from this scene as an audience? We're supposed to take that you're only worthy of respect when you look the part. The problem is this is not empowerment. It's just a rebrand. She changed her logo. You know what I mean? Usually there's things that come into play after the makeover. The only thing she did was not be disrespected by the salesperson and people weren't looking at her weird walking down the street because she didn't have one of those patent leather thigh highs and her stomach wasn't out. So yeah, on the rewatch as an adult, I'm trying to find the appeal. I'm trying to find why people connect to this movie because the little one-liners are not enough. Richard is a stone cold robot. The storyline, not very exciting. And then I thought about it. The thing that people really enjoy about this film that they may or may not admit is the only reason why they really enjoy the film, Julia Roberts. We get the iconic smile, we get the laugh, we get the homegirl always had a body. The body is bodying. We get the hair. I've always loved her hair. We get the walk. She has a distinct walk. She does this walk in my best friend's wedding. That is, again, this is what you call a romantic film. It's romance all throughout that film. And it works, even though they don't work, but it works. You get Julia in her prime. This was her breakout role, but she has such a charm and such a draw that is undeniable. And you can't help but to want to see her on screen. That's the only thing that kept me watching the movie. Because at first I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna finish this. I was like, let me give it a chance. And then every time Julia would be on the screen, I would be pulled in again. Because the laugh or the looks or the whatever she had going on. It's endearing. It's nostalgic when you look back on it. But you see her as a star. You get why this is the breakout role. It's her. It's Julia shining through in the role, not Vivian's character. Because Vivian is very much so flat. Nothing happening. At the end, he decides, okay, I'm going to take this little conversation we had and turning it to my lifestyle. I'm going to start buying businesses and working them, right? She's like, I'm not going to settle for less than what I deserve. I'm going to take my new clothes and move back to Ohio or wherever she moved to. And I'm going to start a new life. I'm going to go back to school. And then he climbs to the tallest room in the highest tower and they ride off into the sunset. Oh, it's supposed to be romantic because he's afraid of heights. So that was the other thing. It doesn't do it for me. It just is. It doesn't do it. It doesn't deserve to be on the list of iconic films. The thing that would have made this better for me is if Edward would have taken her off of Hollywood Boulevard and said, you know what? There's something about this girl. I will make this deal with her, but I'm not going to actually partake in the cookies. I'm not going to actually go through with the services. So it would have been nice to see him charming and giving her the clothes and taking her out to dinner, showing her a different life, not circled around him as a businessman and what she can do for his image or just being a companion, but really bringing her into the fold of you can do better. and I see better for you and I feel better for you. And you know what? Now I'm falling in love with you because on the surface, you know, you're a baker, but on the inside, you're smart. You have a lot of talents. You have a lot of things that's going for you. There's so many layers here that we can build off of. And I don't want to take advantage. I don't want to be another guy, another notch on your belt, another John that you have an experience with. And if she would have been a little more gritty and a little bit more against changing her lifestyle, pretty much like, you know what, I'm just here to get my money. I don't care about none of this hokey pokey clothes. I don't want to do this. But then maybe something about him, or maybe an experience that she had with him, or even by herself in that environment, make her say, you know what, I want to do things different. But that doesn't happen. We just get one-dimensional characters. We get this flat storyline, and we get, you know, pretty clothes on a pretty woman. Pretty woman walking down the street. I don't know the words. Those are the things that would have made it better for me. But the thing that I did like, and this is just me again being older and seeing it, because I didn't catch it when I was younger. Film is directed by Gere Marshall, right? And we get a couple of little Easter eggs. We get Joe, aka Barney. We get Charlotte. I forget what her name is in this movie. We get Mr. Robitussin. We get the server at the restaurant, who, when Vivian takes a bite of her, whatever she had, or she's breaking something apart, I don't remember what exactly she did, but she did something where her food kind of went out of control. And he's like, you know, it happens all the time, which is a callback or a call forward. I don't know. In the Princess Diaries is a callback to that moment. And then we have these characters that are callbacks. Characters, even in the settings that they are, like Joey being the manager of the hotel and looking out for her in the different ways, just like he was the security in Princess Diaries. You have Mr. Robitussin, who's like a side character. He only has a couple of scenes, but it's still memorable. You have Charlotte, who's this happy-go-lucky front desk person, but in the film, in Princess Diaries, she plays the happy-go-lucky, I think she's like an assistant or something. So it's like cool to see those little Easter eggs that happened later in my life for a movie that I actually like, even though it was definitely different than what I remembered from a kid. Watch that video if you haven't watched it. But yeah, I think I might be missing the point. My mom really loves this movie. I talked to her about it and she's just like, no, you don't get it, because she at the end found her worth and she's empowered. And I'm like, where do we see the steps for this happening? The new clothes mean nothing. This is a new shirt. It's $5. I don't feel empowered. I mean, what? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I want to know from y'all. Do you like the movie? Do you find it to be romantic? What am I missing if you do find it to be romantic? And is there an arc here? Am I missing the arcs of the character? Like, what am I missing? I don't get it. Or are you like me and you never liked the movie? Or are you like other people who may have liked it when they were younger and then saw it later and was just like, this is crap? Let me know down below. I might do a deeper dive on this later and like dissect each scene. I just wanted to, this is kind of a rant. I don't even know if I should post this because this is not even like a formatted video. I just needed to say that. I've been saying it for years and people look at me like I'm crazy. Like, oh, you don't understand. I do understand. It ain't a good movie. What are you talking about? But I would like to give a thank you to our sponsor for this video, Man to Sleep. I would also like to thank our executive producers for this video, our patrons over on Patreon. And yeah, let me know in the comments about this, because is it just me? Am I missing it? But that's all for now. If you haven't done so already, please, 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 please be sure to click the like button and hop on over to that subscribe button and hit the bell. Otherwise, YouTube will never show you my videos. As always, I'm all ears. Until next time. Bye.